Typically, our customers are manufacturing finished jewelry, or in the case of some of uh, our manufacturing accounts, they might be manufacturing the findings they use to make that finished jewelry. We really run the gamut. We have jewelry manufacturers who are making spring rings, jump rings. We have manufacturers who are making chain. We have manufacturers who are manufacturing finished fine jewelry, and we have manufacturers of costume jewelry made of some base metal, and usually with enameled colors or not so much semi as precious gemstones as beads and those kinds of things. And we also have pure distributors that aren't manufacturing anything. They're just bringing product in, sometimes doing a little light assembly and then shipping the product out the door.
Talk to me a little about inventory control.
The system has a very reliable inventory control component to it. If you set everything up properly, so you define a finished item, you define its components to the bill of material, and then you create production orders to make the product. You issue that material to the floor. That's going to relieve the inventory of those components. And then as you complete the manufacture and you receive that job, that's going to put those finished products into inventory. And then when you ship that product out the door, we're going to relieve the finished goods inventory. We have the ability to be single location and also multiple locations. So if I have the same product and that product is inventoried in many locations throughout my facility, I can keep track of how many pieces of that particular product I have at each of those locations.
Can you set reorder points?
We can set reorder points, we can set mins. There's a lot of automatic generation of suggested production or purchase quantities using that information. So the system will analyze the current inventory position, compare that to the reorder point, and then decide whether they're going to make product up to that reorder point or if a min has been defined up to the min. We also are very sensitive about precious metals content. So in those areas where companies are very heavy into the precious metals end of things, where they're keeping track of the fine troy ounces of gold and the fine troy ounces of silver in the building, we have flags in the system that will basically prompt the operator to say not only how many pieces or how many feet of a particular product that they're moving, but how much does that weigh, which allows us to keep a good actual average weight in the system for the product. And it allows you as the user of this application to be able to determine whether sometimes your manufacturers are shipping stuff into you that's a little heavier or a little light because you've got a standard weight, and you do some comparisons against that standard weight. There's even a tolerance check that you can put into place where you can say, I'm only willing to accept numbers that are plus or minus 2% of the standard weight, so that you at least have a flag telling you when things are a little askew. We also have a component of our production software that's aimed at companies that typically repair jewelry. And in that instance, what you have is all of your component inventories defined to the system. And you'll have a series of labor items defined to the system, and those labor items will have routings. And usually they are very, very well defined. So I might have a procedure that is to clean, and it might have the 2 or 3 steps that are required to clean a piece. And I'm going to have another procedure that might reflect retipping a prong or resetting a stone. And what we allow the user to do is bring in a piece of jewelry that needs to get repaired, analyze what needs to get done to that piece, and then select from a series of drop downs so they know which labor operations they're going to be performing and kind of link together and build a standard routing for that job. Those routing steps, again, can have costs associated with them if you wish. And then when it comes time to make or repair the jewelry, the system will allow you to enter the components that were required to make it. And if you were to track those actual labor steps and record the labor as things move from point A to point B, you will actually be able to, if you desire, compute the cost required to repair that piece of jewelry. More often than not, people repairing the jewelry are doing those repairs on a warranty basis or something of that nature, so there's typically not a charge associated with it, though there can be. It's more a tool that's going to give your company the ability to determine just how much repairing your jewelry is really costing you. if you want to take it to that level.